Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here. Today I'm super excited because I'm going to be bringing you guys my alternate build for the Batarian Scrapper in Mass Effect Andromeda. This build is actually really amazing. Definitely, the Batarian Scrapper is probably the most platinum viable person in the entire game. He's incredible. His debuff is unbelievable, and Snap Freeze is a wonderful power. But this is going to be a different build because I already showed a build for him. But that build really is all about getting combos and blowing shit up, where this build is about not getting combos. Now, of course, you can't control what your teammates might do. They might detonate your combos, and it's unfortunate. But the way that this build is set up is that you're going to debuff enemies and do massive damage to them, to the point where you'll be wiping out big, strong, armored targets in seconds. It's really kind of unbelievable. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the weapon. The only thing that really matters for the weapon is you have to use something that's going to fire fast, because if you use that, then it's going to affect one of his debuffs, and it's really, really good. So, of course, I recommend guns like the Hurricane, the Equalizer, you could use the Charger, you could use the Remnant. It doesn't really matter. A lot of assault rifles and a lot of pistols are great for this build. Now, I would also recommend using the Expert Package if you have it, because you get recharge speed, which is good for Snap Freeze, and you get bonus weapon damage if you are using a pistol. When it comes to the booster for this build, I actually recommend Combat Power Damage, because you're going to be using Flat Cannon. And Flat Cannon is really strong right now. It's a very good grenade type power, and if you can boost that damage, it's going to make it even better. You could also maybe go with Grenade Capacity if you want to do that. Or you could also do Power Efficiency if you want to be able to spam your Snap Freeze more. Now, the alternative booster could be an ammo type if you want to do that. Or you can do the Pistol Rail Amp, or any type of Rail Amp to boost your weapon damage. So it's really up to you on what you want to do. But that would be my recommendations for boosters if you're going to use them for gold or platinum. Now let's go ahead and talk about the build. The whole idea here is to leave Concussive Shot really low, so you only want it at 1, and max everything else out. Now, with Concussive Shot, it is a good power, and you can still use it. Anytime you want to detonate a combo, go ahead and Snap Freeze, and then detonate with Concussive Shot, and it should actually be a pretty good combo. The main thing I would recommend is that when you're fighting a group of enemies, if there's one particular target, let's say a Berserker that you're fighting, you Snap Freeze, you shoot him, and then when he's almost dead, you can go ahead and detonate the combo and do some AoE damage. So Concussive Shot does have its purpose, but for this build, you really just want to leave it at 1. Now for Snap Freeze, this is pretty simple. You want massive debuff. First of all, you want to go ahead and get the damage radius so that it has more range and you can hit more targets. You want to get Brittle, which is going to debuff the enemies by 20% as long as they are frozen. Remember, the second that they are detonated for a cryo combo, you lose the debuff. That's kind of an issue if you're playing with a lot of randoms and they're constantly detonating your combo, and you really don't want them to do that, because the whole idea here is that you're debuffing them and then you're just killing them because of the debuff. And finally, anti-armor. This is a grand total of 115% armor debuff. That is crazy. So you have the 20% debuff for all enemies and 115% armor debuff. So against armor targets like Hydras or Berserkers, you freaking destroy them. It's unbelievable. And I would definitely recommend playing against maybe the Outlaw if you're fighting on Platinum, or on Gold if you're going to use this guy, because there's a lot of armor targets and you will freaking destroy them. And of course, you can also fight other factions, but any factions with shields can be a problem, because Snap Freeze will not affect shielded enemies. That's the only issue. Now for Flat Cannon, you want damage and force 100%. Like I said, Flat Cannon is actually really powerful, and it's actually really good now. The other thing you want is anti-armor. I know this might be a little bit strange, because most people like the stunning, and they also like the more explosion, so it has a bigger radius, and you can stun the fuck out of enemies. That is really good. But anti-armor actually makes this power do insane damage to armor, especially if you debuff them first with Snap Freeze. So that is the reason why anti-armor is better for this build. And finally, Shredder. This was recently buffed. It's 100 damage per second. I'm pretty sure this will actually get buffed, because you are debuffing the enemies, and any type of like maybe power damage increase that you have will also buff this damage over time. So this is a really good effect, and you will melt enemies because of this setup. Next up is going to be the training. Now with the training, you want to go for the power and melee. The reason for this is because you get so much good stuff. You get a power cell, you get melee damage, you get power damage, or you can get 8% weapon damage. To me, I like all the bonuses for this, so I definitely recommend this over the weapon damage. Next up, you definitely want to get the reload speed, the weapon clip size, and the spare ammo because it's just really good and useful. And finally, sustained fire. This is why it's important to use a rapid fire gun, because every time you shoot an enemy, you're going to be debuffed. And if you're using a rapid fire gun, you can get the max debuff of 24% really quickly. So this is pretty amazing. If you actually hit an armor target like a Hydra with, let's say, Snap Freeze, then you shoot that target and then you use Flat Cannon, the Hydra will melt. Same with Krogans and same with anything that is actually a powerful enemy. You will melt those enemies if you stack the 2 debuffs together and you hit them with the Flat Cannon, and if you just shoot them. It's really, really crazy. Now for the combat fitness, this guy is beefy as fuck, and that's one of the best parts about him. You want to go for the maximum shield and health. I personally like to evade a lot. I like to dodge, so I like to go for this because of the damage resistance. If you like to stay in cover a lot, though, I would recommend the cover. This is all up to you and your playstyle. And finally, hold the line. Anytime you're about to die, you get 200 damage resistance, and it will save your fucking ass. So that's pretty much the build for the Batarian Scrapper. I'm going to show some gameplay now, and like I said, it's pretty freaking crazy on how fast you can actually kill armor targets and just destroy them, and it's so much fun. Alrighty guys, this is going to be the gameplay, and this is probably going to be the most ridiculous thing you will ever see in Mass Effect Andromeda, because not only are we using this really crazy weapon setup for Platinum, but we're also actually going to be doing this Apex mission. Now the penalty for this Apex mission is negative 50% weapon damage, but you get the 200% weak point damage, meaning that if you're getting headshots, you're going to be doing a lot more damage. So you guys just have to see this to believe it. But this setup that we're using the Batarian Scrapper, the Krogan Gladiator, which the annihilation field on the Gladiator will debuff the enemies by 40%. We're using the Solarian Operator, and with that we get a 30% debuff with Invasion. And we're also using an Agara Avenger just because he's better for a setup like this, because you don't want to detonate combos at all. You just pretty much want to throw stickies and just shoot enemies, and you can also melee enemies if you like. But yeah, that's pretty much the setup that we're using, and if you can't tell, the weapon damage is freaking crazy. There's really 2 setups for the Scrapper. You can do a combo team and get a lot of cryo explosions, or you can do a weapon team and then you don't get any cryo explosions, maybe a couple here and there, that's okay. But primarily you're just going to be debuffing the enemies, weakening their armor, and if you combine all these debuffs together, it's freaking ridiculous. Plus with this Apex mission, well, guess what? We're gonna have the 200% headshot damage, so anytime you see a headshot, just understand that we're not killing them this fast if it wasn't for the headshot bonus. But you do still kill them really, really quickly. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't find this type of team as fun as a combo team. I like to do combos. It's just me and my friends, we just really like doing the combos and stuff. So generally, that's what we normally will do. And for like the combo team, I already showed it. But one of the new things we've been doing now, which is really amazing, is to bring on a Human Adept. The Human Adept with Shockwave and Singularity is just super good, especially with the Scrapper, because the Scrapper can set up a ton of cryo explosions, and Singularity can set up a ton of biotic explosions. And when you use Shockwave, you can actually detonate both the cryo and the biotic at the same time. So the amount of damage you get from those combos is insane. But this team is really good, and this is something that you and your friends can do. Just pretty much just have the Operator, the Gladiator, the Scrapper, and also the Agara Avenger. Now this is a team where, of course, you have 3 ultra rare classes, and a lot of people might not have those classes, but if you do, you can do it. And believe it or not, the Gladiator is a lot better now. Besides the fact that the build can melee really well, that is really awesome. It's also really beefy. That was always the biggest complaint with the Gladiator. Very flimsy, very weak. Now it actually has the 2nd most shields and the most health in the game. Plus, if you have like Draining Field on Annihilation and you have shield boost, The gladiator just like never dies, and the whole idea is that you're just constantly debuffing the enemies for 40% as long as you are close to them. Anyone around you, if you kill an enemy, you're gonna get shields back, and it's really good for the team, especially on platinum. And of course the operator is just amazing. Now if you can't tell, the way I like to play the Scrapper with this setup, and honestly even for a combo team, you can do this setup. It's perfectly fine. I previously showed the concussive shot build, which is also a really good build, and it's something you can do if you're doing a shit ton of combos. But this build I just think is better overall, just because the flat cannon is unbelievable. Like the buff they have given flat cannon now, with the shredder and the anti-armor, you will just freaking murder. Now you might actually notice a lot of times that we're getting these headshots and these enemies are dying really quickly. But there's also other times where, believe it or not, they're dying really fast because of the flat cannon and because of the debuffs. That flat cannon can just shred armor super quick, and it's really, really awesome. Like, it's a lot of fun. But in this gameplay, I'm actually using capacity for my grenades. That's something I normally do like to do. For the boosters, I would definitely recommend either power efficiency, combat power damage, or capacity. One of those three. And if you're doing combos, yes, use an ammo type. If you're not doing combos, do a rail amp so you can boost whatever weapon you're using. And in this case, I'm using a pistol. So that's what I would recommend if you are going to try this setup for the massive, crazy weapon damage. The only downside to this setup is that because you're not getting combos, you're not going to be able to stun the enemies as much. That's one of the beautiful parts about combos. When you're doing a shit ton of combos, you're able to just stun the enemies non-stop, and by doing that, you're keeping them away from you. So if you're not able to kill them this quickly, I mean, that's the thing. With this like bonus headshot damage, we were able to kill some of these enemies so fast, especially like the hydras and stuff, that it was never a problem. But if you do not have that bonus, you're not going to be killing them this fast. Like, you'll kill them fast, but it won't be this fast. And they can actually like get in your space and just kind of push you out of your little camping spot or whatever, and it can fuck you. So that is a downside to this setup, but overall it is a really good setup. It will destroy platinum just like the combo setup does as well. It's just not as fun in my opinion. Some people might have more fun shooting. I have more fun using my powers and stuff and getting combos and all that type of good stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it really when it comes to this setup and this build. I mean, if you guys can't tell, like, this is crazy. The flat cannon is unbelievable. The Scrapper is, right now, probably the best build in the game, just for platinum. Like, he just is a really, really good, almost necessary guy on your team. You can beat platinum without the Scrapper. We do it sometimes because one of the downsides to having the Scrapper is that you're not able to really use incinerary ammo. And sometimes, you know, maybe you want to do some fire combos and stuff, so you might want to use incinerary ammo. You can have like a turning agent, things like that, to do a bunch of fire combos. But if you're using the Scrapper, you are forced to use either disruptor ammo or cryo ammo if you're going for combos and stuff. Now, for whatever reason, I've been kind of lazy with this Scrapper. I don't know why. I just don't really like playing him all that much. Flat cannon is amazing. I just find it a little bit boring because I tend to just spam it a lot. And when you spam it, you just rack up kills and you just do insane damage to enemies. And that's awesome, but you do blow through your grenades really quickly if you do that. That's why I probably do recommend the capacity. That way, if you use an ammo pack, you can get more grenades back. And one thing I guess I should mention about the Scrapper that is really important if you're playing him, and you're going to see it in the gameplay. Anytime you use Snap Freeze, try to sweep the area. Try to hit everything behind you, everything in front of you, everything to the side of you. Because if you do that, you will actually apply the effect. As long as it touches an enemy, it will apply the effect. So that's really good, and that's something that everyone should actually do if you're going to play the Scrapper. But we're going to eventually get some new classes here. It's all been data mined. This is from day one. People were talking about this. So some of this stuff might not be 100% true, and some of it will definitely be true. And what I want to talk about is just a couple of these freaking classes. There is a new ultra rare class that will be coming out. It's another Batarian. And I've been so lazy with this Scrapper that I knew I had to do the video, because for all I know, they might actually start releasing these other classes and I didn't want to like not have the Scrapper video out before that. So we'll see when we actually will get these classes. It seems like they're taking their sweet time to release any more, but there's going to be a total of 6 new classes that we're going to get. Now, I'm not sure if the Scrapper is included in that, so it might just be 5. And apparently they're all going to be rare, and a couple of them are going to be humans, which is actually kind of cool to have a rare human finally. That would be great, because we have an ultra rare human, and we have a bunch of common humans. Every common is a human. And we have no uncommon humans and no rare humans. Well, now we're going to get some rare humans, so that's actually really awesome. But the new ultra rare that will be coming out is going to be another Batarian. And apparently this Batarian is going to have flat cannon. Okay, I guess that's kind of the theme with Batarians, flat cannon. But that's cool, I guess. I don't really mind that. But he's also going to have annihilation, which is, of course, amazing. And that will definitely be something that I will have to consider maybe including into my platinum team, because for all we know it could be crazy. But the other thing he's going to have is charge. He's going to be a Batarian Vanguard. Now, you have to understand this. The Batarian's gauntlet, or his melee, can detonate. That's something that I really don't talk about much because I don't really ever do it. But with that build, with the Batarian Vanguard build, I will 100% say that that might be a really good melee / combo build, because you can charge in, then you can start punching the enemies and getting combos. Now, for whatever reason, and we know this from campaign because a lot of people have tried it, if you charge from a distance, okay, I'm not sure if you're already like really close to the enemies, but I do know if you charge from a distance and you have annihilation on, you will not actually detonate a combo like that. It doesn't work. Now, if you're really close to the enemy so that the annihilation will actually apply prior to you charging, I think it might actually detonate. And if that's the case, that's going to be really good as well, because charge can detonate multiple explosions. So theoretically, what you can actually do is you can maybe wait for the enemies to come to you and then charge and detonate like 2, 3, 4 explosions at once, and it should be really powerful. And by the way, if you guys can't tell, we are freaking wrecking these enemies. It's really crazy, man. Unfreaking believable. But we had so much fun with this Apex mission. I really want to play it again because it makes Platinum a fucking joke. It really does, especially when you do this setup. So the Batarian Vanguard will definitely be a very powerful class, and I'm excited for that. But apparently one of the new humans, now this one, I think they might change. This sounds ridiculous. We are going to get Warp back. That is at least something that was data mined, that Warp is coming back as a power. Thank God. Hashtag, what the fuck happened to Warp? I mean, come on now. Shit's ridiculous. Warp was a staple of all the Mass Effect games, and they took it out, and they gave us Lance. Fuck Lance. Give me Warp. Warp all day. Warp may be a really good debuff, and hopefully you can set up combos and detonate combos. If that's the case, that thing's going to be ridiculous. But on this human, apparently we're going to get Singularity, which is an amazing power. We're going to get Warp, which I hope will be an amazing power. And Turbocharge? No fucking way. There's no fucking way we're getting Turbocharge, Singularity, and Warp on a rare class that's human. That sounds absolutely crazy. But if that is true, which a lot of times the stuff that is data mined is 100% true, sometimes it's a little bit off. Like the Turian Agent is the best example. There were some things the Turian Agent was supposed to get that he did not actually get. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to get trip mines. And I'm glad he didn't, because an infiltrator with trip mines, just imagine the amount of damage you can do with that. It would be insane. So instead they gave him Flamethrower. So that is something to consider. We might not get the turbocharge, but it would still be awesome if we can get the Singularity and also the Warp. I would really be happy about that. But if that motherfucker does have turbocharge, that's probably going to be the best Platinum freaking class, or at least one of them. Now, I do think the Scrapper will be an amazing class for Platinum for pretty much ever, just because of the crazy debuff. Hopefully sometime in the future, maybe the munitions training will actually get combo damage. That's something that I'm really kind of salty about. Every single one of the passives, Apex training, weapon training, everybody gets combo damage now, besides people with munitions training. So I do hope that eventually they will get that. Alrighty guys, so that's going to pretty much do it for the video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it and it has helped. If it has, will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe for future videos, and I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.